When you start living in other people's expectations and how other people are thinking about you, their expectations for what you're supposed to do, then you stop living in your truth. So when I first started making TikTok, I very much was thinking about like, okay, well, how do I make this something for everybody? I'm making content for science teachers, but like an English teacher said they really like this thing. So maybe I should think about broadening it out and being more general. And what I found is by doing that, maybe I grew my audience a little bit faster. But what I wasn't doing was growing community. And community is actually what matters the most. Um, the people who you actually want to be following you, the people who you want to actually be engaging with you, are people who have the same values of you, or at least similar, who care about similar things. So I don't want people following my page who are going to get offended when I say the science curricula have too many old dusty white men in them. I don't want people following my page who get offended when I say science curricula are boring for the most part because they only think of white Western examples of science to give to students. And science teachers and more to the point, curriculum writers need to think outside the box. um, if you don't agree with that, then I don't want you in my space anyway. And so by being very specific and not trying to be for everybody, you have a clearer message and it is clear what you stand for. It is not as easy for somebody to mistake you for somebody else, to think that you stand for something that you don't stand for because you're very, very clear. So like that ego boost of like having a huge number of followers, it ain't it, if you don't have the community that's underneath it. Another thing that you gotta let go of is your attachment to quick success and the attachment to thinking about only your end goal. Here's what I mean. So let's start with the attachment to quick results. If your only motivation is seeing your follower count rise quickly, if your only motivation is the dopamine hit you get from likes, if the only thing keeping you going when it gets hard is whether or not somebody left a nice comment, you're not going to make it. You're not going to last. I was about to say it's harsh, but it's true. But I don't even think it's hard. It's just honest because we all know things that we've done in our lives that we didn't really, you know, care about doing. And as soon as it wasn't fun anymore, we quit. Everybody has something like that, whether we admit it or not. And that is what content creation will be for you. If your only metric for if you're being successful is like that, those quick successes and then also alongside that, well, no, let me finish that thought first. Sorry, y'all. I have ADHD and sometimes should be ADHD and more than others. Alongside that, when you're focusing on those metrics, which a lot of people, you'll hear call them vanity metrics. When you're focused on those things, then you lose sight of your actual purpose for being on social media. Now, if your actual purpose is just, racking up the likes and the followers, then I'm probably not the person for you because I got on social media to A, build a business, B, make an impact because I believe and still believe from the tips of my toes to the top of my head that science education can and should be better. That Black kids deserve better from science education. That Black teachers deserve better from science education. That is what drove me to choose the business that I chose. It's why I'm starting to move into like creator coaching type stuff because I know that there are other teachers, there are science communicators and content creators who can make an impact on the world, can start making science and education better for groups that have been harmed by these fields historically, that can speak to how to improve these spaces, and they're just not sure how to start showing up. Or they keep letting that little voice in the back of their head tell them they're not good enough. And that little voice, sometimes it's our mama, sometimes it's your cousin, it's your auntie and them, but a lot of times it's white supremacy because we contort ourselves into these little shapes, trying to fit into these white supremacist structures and white supremacist notions of what is professional. And when you contort yourself to try to fit that, it's holding you back. It's restraining you. It's making you move slower. It's making your words less potent because you are not being fully you. You are not fully embodying your message because you're worried about upsetting Martha Sue down the street. Which brings us back again to this circle of not for everyone. When you know exactly who your message is for, then you stop worrying about fitting into those structures. It's easier to let it go because you know that your people, your community, isn't going to judge you for not code switching. Isn't going to judge you for being like, yeah, I be saying bruh stuff in class too. Like, sorry, I'm about to meander a little bit. I'm gonna keep it quick though. Like, I haven't seen it recently, so God forbid, I hope it doesn't come back anytime soon. But whenever people get into these debates on social media about like, I don't allow kids to say bruh or whatever else in my classroom because if you're gonna use da-da-da-da-da, that's not a flex. That's not a flex. Okay? Because in my classroom, I walk in there and I'm like, bruh, I say what up. I do all of that. And we use academic language. You can do both. And when people tell kids that they can't use the language, like their regular ways of speaking in the classroom, it is exclusive. It excludes them. It's marginalizing them, which brings me right back around to what I'm saying of if I'm so busy worrying that somebody's gonna accuse me of being uneducated, is gonna accuse me of lying about having a PhD because of the way I talk, I'm going to miss my community. I'm going to miss the people who needed to hear what I had to say. So I had to let that go. Okay. So like that is a huge thing to have to let go. And it's hard. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it's easy because it ain't. It is difficult because we grow up within these structures. We are socialized as children to start to fit ourselves into these molds. We are told it is the only way we will be successful. And it is hard AF to stop doing it. But on the other side of that work, of that effort, is a version of you that builds the audience you want to build, that makes the impact you want to make. So yeah, we gotta let it go. Let it go. Let it go. There was a treat just for y'all. Oh, okay. Anyway, moving on. So I said letting go of your attachment to those small, quick wins, those dandy metrics. And on the other side, on the flip side, you do need to think short term as you're thinking long term. So strategically, we want to think long term. We want to think about our long term goals. Like I am thinking about on a long term tip that I want to start doing speaking engagements. That is a long term goal I have. But if I don't think about the short term wins I can get between now and getting that speaking engagement, then I'm going to start to feel defeated. So in addition to having this long-term goal of speaking engagement, I also am like, okay, so a short-term goal is to start blogging more and start developing my voice. A short-term goal is developing a set of, I forget the name of what it's called, of like the topics that a speaker can do, but developing that page, developing like my little flyer or whatever. Short-term goal might be booking some podcasts. And those are little small wins that I can celebrate along the way. They're small things or smaller because they're not small. They're just smaller than the bigger goal. And I can celebrate those. They can help me to keep my eyes on my own paper and not compare my journey to somebody else's and not be like, well, she has all these speaking engagements. Why don't I? Because I'm focused on the goal, like my milestones and not hers. I'm not getting discouraged. And it also helps me to remember that I am making progress, because another reason a lot of people end up quitting, they don't make it, or you quit every 3 business weeks. And I'm like, I'm too tired. I can't do this anymore. Is because you're only thinking about your long-term goals, your long-term outcome. You're thinking to yourself, I want this business that's going to make enough money that I can quit my job. I want to be the next Bill Nye. I want to be the next Hank and John Green. And so you're thinking about this long-term outcome that is going to take you months or years to achieve. And then when you don't get it in 2 weeks, you feel defeated and you want to quit. That's wild. That's unhinged. You got to cut that out. And that's why those short-term intermediate goals are so important. They help you to remember that I did make some progress. Every day you made progress is a day that you got closer to that long-term outcome. So one of the things that has helped me tremendously in the last few months is to stop focusing only on my long-term goals and to say to myself, okay, but did I make progress today? Did I do what I promised myself I was going to do today? Did I get a little bit closer to my dream life today? If the answer is yes, then I have not failed. If I haven't given up, I haven't failed. I'm still putting in work. And so celebrating those little wins and keeping your eyes on your own paper, keeping in mind that every day that you've gone an inch closer is progress, helps you to stop going through these endless cycles of, well, I just don't know if I'm cut out for this. The thing about the journey of content creation, of starting a business, even of teaching, I think definitely of wanting to be like a well-known science communicator, anything where you are taking yourself to a new level, you are pushing yourself past what you've done previously, requires growth, requires reflection, requires you to put forth a level of effort and commitment that you hadn't previously. Because you're going to be bad at something again, which, another sidebar, as teachers, a lot of times we act like we don't know what it's like to be new to something, what it's like to be bad at something for the first time, and the fear and anxiety that comes with it, which is what our students are feeling, which is why sometimes they don't want to do the work. But anyway, coming back around, you have to know that you are capable, even if you're not good at it right now. You have to believe so much that there is a version of you that is excellent at what you're trying to build. And that version of you is waiting on you. And it's Schrodinger's version of you. That version of you exists and doesn't exist. Whether or not that version of you gets to exist depends on you showing up and not quitting, even when it's hard. And once you do that, when you show up and you do the hard thing and you keep that commitment to yourself, you start to learn new things about yourself. You start to believe in yourself. Your confidence in yourself changes in ways that you don't even realize are possible. And I'm gonna tell you I'm just gonna be completely real with you. You can listen to all the podcasts. You can do as many good coaching programs as you want. Nothing changes until you decide that I'm done not doing what I promised myself. When you make that commitment to yourself and you mean it, like not like oh yeah, I'm going to do this challenge, and then you quit halfway. I mean, when you are just absolutely sick and tired of your bull and you tell yourself, no, this is the time that I do not quit, you will be shocked at how meaning what you said that deeply will change your life. And so, quick story, when I was doing my doctorate, my 4th year was coming to a close. And when I got to UGA, I got there on a 4-year assistantship that that paid for my schooling and paid me out a stipend for 4 years. So I had done the 4 years, and I thought I was going to be able to finish my dissertation that fourth year, but COVID hit. I wasn't able to get, like, it took forever to get the approval for my project. Then I couldn't get any participants. It just was a crap shoot. And I ended up needing another year. The stipend that was offered to me was not enough for me to live off of. And I sat there thinking to myself, I got a teaching license. I can go back in classroom and teach. So I went back to working full time, which honestly, I am very grateful happened. That's another story for another day. At the end of that school year, I think maybe my second or third day of work at this brand new job, for people I don't know, my grandmother died. And all I wanted was, like, I really wanted her to see me graduate. I knew she probably wasn't going to be able to see me in person, but I really, really wanted her to be able to watch me defend my dissertation and see me walk across the stage. And I'm over here in Georgia doing this school thing. My grandma was in Mississippi with most of my family, and the PD I was in ended. I saw that I had missed calls from my sister and some texts. And even my sister's mom had texted me, which let me know. I had a feeling something had happened. And my assistant principal came by and asked me to come to the office, and they told me my grandmother had passed. At that moment, I just felt, well, I don't even know if it was that moment, but like maybe it was like that day, maybe it was when after the funeral, but it was at some point. I just was like, I need to be done. I need to be done with this doctoral degree. And so I gave myself a year. I said, I have 1 year. Like, next summer, I need to be done. Either I'm gonna be done or I'm gonna quit. I don't care which one. Which was a little dramatic because I did care which one. But that was just the headspace I was in. And so I was like, I'm gonna be done or I'm gonna quit in a year. And I'm not quitting. So what I gotta do to be done in a year? And the thing that about this is, when I went back to work, several people told me, well, that's a shame. It's going to take you so much longer to finish now. It's going to take you at least 3, 4, 5 years. And I heard it. And I could have said, well, they've been doing this for a really long time. Who am I to think that I can do it faster than they say I can? I could have said, well, yeah, it is my first year at this job. I am teaching bio. It's a tested subject. I got a lot going on. I guess I'm gonna take more than the year that I told myself I'm gonna take. But what I did was put my head down and work. I said to myself, no, I don't care what anybody says. I'm finishing toe in a year doing it. And I didn't argue with nobody about whether or not it was possible. In fact, I didn't even tell the people, and these are people who were like on my committee, like, so the people who help decide if I get to graduate, or some of them were telling me that there was no way I could do it in a year. I didn't argue. I didn't belabor the point. I just said, all right. And then I said to myself, Jordan, you know what you're capable of. If you want it, you can get it. And so I worked my tail off. I would get up. I've had the wildest schedule. I would wake up at 4:15 in the morning, get up, be dressed, and out the house to be at work at 5:30, because that was when the doors opened to the building. Students could enter the building at 6:45. And so from 5:30 to 6:40, I would finish up any prep or anything I needed to do for my classes, because I wasn't trying to stay after school. So I would get there early and get done what I needed to get done. And then if I had time, if I had everything already prepped, I would work on my dissertation. I would leave work. I would go to the gym. I would go home, and I would join a writing group where I work on my dissertation. And I would stay up till about 9 or 10 o'clock at night. On the weekend, I woke up at 4:15. I went to the gym. On the weekend, I woke up at 4:30, I think. I gave myself a 15-minute sleep in. I opened the gym up with the people who work there at 5, got my little workout in, we'll go get groceries and be back home by 7. And I would sit there and I would work on my dissertation, or I would work on a proposal for a conference, or I was working on job applications for faculty positions. I was so disciplined that year because I had decided that I was meeting this goal come hell or high water. Now, I will also say I was very stressed out and unhealthy. I developed stress-related arthritis that year too, that after I defended went away and never came back. And so I'm not glorifying that. But what that experience taught me was that if I put my mind to something, I can make it happen. If it's something that is under my direct control, I can make it pop because I couldn't control. Now, I ended up defending that summer. I defended a year later. I didn't actually graduate until the end of the next semester, but I just was like, all the things that are a part of this that are under my direct control, I'm gonna do. It won't be my fault if I don't graduate a year from now. And having done that gave me another level of, oh, I get what I need to get done energy. No, no, no. I'm so sorry you don't know who I am when you tell me I can't do something. No, if I told you I was going to do it, I'm going to make it happen. And I've had to reactivate and remember that energy as I move through this content creation business space. I'm remembering who I am, that I'm the woman who multiple people looked in the face and told me I couldn't do something. And I said, don't believe me, just watch. And then I made it happen. The thing is, the only way to get that energy is to make something happen. I believed that I was that person before I ever had proof of it. I knew from the depth of my soul that I could get it done. Even when I finally brought it back up to my chair again, I think in March, I was like, yeah, I'd like to defend this summer. And she was like, well, I don't know. It's very tight. You still have these chapters to write. And I just don't, I think it's a little premature to plan for that. We'll circle back around in a month. And I said, okay. And I proceeded to do my part. I would send her a chapter to read and I would just start on the next one. I wasn't waiting on her because I was going to be done with the things that I needed to be done by the deadline I had set. I couldn't control nobody else. I could only control me. And when you realize that, you can't control whether or not somebody watches your content. You can't control whether or not a brand reaches out to you or accepts your application. But what you can control is how you show up and showing up confidently and showing up consistently and not giving up when things get hard. That's under your direct control. And when you do that and you keep going and you keep moving and you invest time and energy and money in yourself, because let's keep it a buck. When money is attached, we move different. When we've spent money on something, we move different. Okay? That's how you become the person who can say, oh yeah, no, they didn't think I could do it, but I did. That doesn't happen by accident. And so I like to say that I still believe there might be magic in blowing on dandelions. And for me, what that means is when I blow on a dandelion, when anybody blows on a dandelion, you're blowing seeds out to become new life or to grow into a new plant, to grow into a new dandelion, right? And that does feel a little bit magical to me, but it ties into like how I think of magic. I don't think of magic as some supernatural, mysterious force. I feel like I think it's just the way I describe putting in the work. Because this past year for me has been magic, and it's also been hard. I've worked my tail off, but that work is what made all the magical experiences possible. Nobody's going to hand you anything. Nothing about this is going to be easy. Yeah, that's a lie. Some of it is easy. But the long term, the internal work, your dreams, the dreams you have, person who you need to be to receive them is a person who is confident in their ability, who shows up, who doesn't make excuses. And you can't receive those dreams until you become that person. And you don't become that person until you decide that you already are. And that's what I think a lot of people miss. And again, it's not easy. That internal work is the hardest part. But when you do it, your world changes. the way you talk to yourself changes, the way you believe in yourself changes. And I want that for you. If you are ready to be that person in 2025 to get after your dreams wholeheartedly, full force, stop saying next year. This time next year, not being saying, I wish I would have, but be looking back and say, I became the person who was ready to receive my dreams. Then don't wait till January 1. Don't wait till the beginning of next quarter. Don't wait until some other random arbitrary day. You start moving towards your goals now. You start building momentum to become and be the version of you who is so freaking confident now. And when you're ready to do that work, when you're ready to get some support with that work, to build community while you do that work, that's when you're going to come and work with me and join Momentum 2025, where we're doing that work together. Y'all, I got into it. I was sitting. So I hope you caught some of that because there were some gems, okay? I don't have to go back and listen because I feel like there are a couple of episodes in here. I need to go back and expand on some things. So if there's anything in particular you have that you're more curious about, if there's anything in particular that you're curious about, let me know in the comments, in the reviews, DM me, and I'll see what I can do about elaborating on them. I hope you have the most beautiful week. Have a fabulous Thanksgiving, and I'll talk to y'all soon. You're safe.